Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theravada Buddhism series, Dhamma talk number 52. Roots and Vipassana. Hetu and Vipassana. Evil roots are so strong in the world of beings. Only an arhat can be totally free of it. These roots are the cause of suffering. People with jhana and even the first three levels of noble persons cannot wholly escape the cause of suffering, the evil roots. And these evil roots are the cause of, the direct cause of suffering in this life. But the effects or the results of the future lives are due to a series of causal relations of these three roots. Most of us are born with three evil roots: worldlings, putujana. Of the two or three roots, refer to good roots. Wordings, the words. Whenever you see the words two roots and three roots, it indicates these are good roots. Practicing mindfulness of the body and the feeling is conducive to yogis with two roots, alobha and adosa, two roots. Practicing mindfulness of the mind and the mindfulness of the Dhamma are conducive to the three roots person, people who are born with three roots. Impermanence, anicca, is seeing everything break down instantaneously. That's the understanding of impermanence. Not wanting a broken system, abandoning greed. And once you abandon the greed, generosity follows. First of all, one must really want to abandon the broken system. That means one is abandoning greed. Once you have abandoned greed, non-greed arises. Once non-greed arises, generosity automatically follows. In the earlier stages of the practice, generosity occasionally occurs and momentarily stops the flow of mental defilements. So whenever you do a generous act, that is the time that the flow of mental defilements are stopped. However, charity gives rise to the abundance of things in future lives, future in this life as well as in other lives. Wealth gained snowball to a series of giving and sharing till to the last life before attainment of Nibbana. Knowing in this fashion is non-delusion, amoha, regarding to generosity, dana. So when one practice or do a dana, generosity, charity, one need to understand that way clearly. And if you understood that way, that means you are in a state of non-delusion at that moment of charity. Suffering is the anger of not getting what one desire. Non-anger and dosa is the ability to let go of that desire. It is associated with loving kindness and morality. So whenever one doesn't get anything that one wishes, becomes angry. And that is in a state of suffering. We don't know, but that is suffering. Being in a state of anger is suffering. So if you can let go of that anger, dosa, if you succeed in letting go of that anger, automatically non-anger arises. And if non-anger arises, automatically one is endowed with morality and full of love and kindness. Also, when one sees and understands the delusion of non-self, when one sees and understands the delusion of self, which is non-self, moha, delusion is abandoned, and that is followed by non-delusion, amoha. Knowing that there is nothing one can control in the world of mentality and materiality is amoha. And here is the whole scope covered. Knowing that the world of materiality and non-materiality is uncontrollable, and that is called amoha, non-delusion. The earlier aspect was just knowing clearly about generosity. And if you understand that way, at that moment you have the non-delusion regarding to generous act. When one sees impermanence, suffering and non-self, it automatically abandons the three evil roots, which are greed, anger and delusion, and develops the three good roots, which are non-greed, non-anger and non-delusion. Mindfulness, insight, or Satipatthana Vipassana is the only way to see impermanence, suffering and non-self, anicca, dukkha and anatta. concentration meditation and insight meditation, both technique can understand the first two insights, which are discriminative awareness of mind and matter and the cause and relationship of mind and matter. These two insights, whether you practice concentration meditation, samatha, or insight meditation, vipassana, can be experienced. At the beginning of the vipassana practice, a yogi must note the form if it is dominant, but don't become fixed to it, fixed to the shape, size, or color. Incline the mind towards manners and behaviors. That's one should focus deeper. And the four great elements of the physical phenomena: earth, wind, fire, and water. At the earlier phase of vipassana, which abandons the form concept and penetrates ultimate reality, is to have a glimpse into the three marks or three characteristics of life: impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And the next is insight of arising and passing away. And then constant dissolution unfold when concentration becomes stronger and firmer. Only then, impermanent, suffering, and non-self become evident. First of all, insight of arising and passing away, and then insight of dissolution. Then you truly understand what anicca, dukkha, anatta is. Okay? That is, in general, we are stating. Let's go a little more specific and see how these operates. Suppose one can note without aversion 10 to 15 minutes of the sensation of tingling, numbness, aches, dizziness, itchy, feeling, vomiting, pain, swaying, pressure, push feeling, pulling feeling. These are all unpleasant sensations arising. And if you can note one after the other for about 10, 15, say 20, if you can note them without having aversion, that's a key point. One is experiencing the body is a whole mass of suffering. When you are meditating, these are all feelings. You become really irritated. Oh, I can't meditate, I can't concentrate, no calmness. But in Vipassana, that's not the case. If you can observe them as it is, one after the other for 10, 15 minutes, the actual experience is the representation that this body and mind is the whole mass of suffering. That's the experience. But we thought we are not having a good meditation. But in fact, you are progressing in the line of Dharma. That's one way of putting it. Another way is what the yogi sees is Some yogis see signs, nimitta, such as corpse, skeleton, repulsive nature of the body, and some people with a bit higher concentration can see their past lives having a specific undesirable conditions and events, such as one is killing another, one is torturing another. In fact, that one is you, me, in the past life, killing and torturing. Very vivid, as if it is happening at the present moment. And from that you know what kind of suffering it is, and those are the causes, and what kind of painful result you are experiencing in this life. Do you understand this? Dukkha, you fully understand dukkha in relation to the evil roots. Some yogi in meditation felt like the body is turned into different animals. You actually feel like you're like a snake or a crocodile or a dog or a cow. These are the manifestation of the mind because of the concentration you have in Vipassana, and you are seeing and feeling past lives, how terrible and disastrous it is. From those sights, you get a sense of urgency. You understand dukkha in relationship to the three evil roots. So in other words, from all these kind of different experience, one directly perceives that life is suffering, life is dukkha, the first noble truth. Understanding impermanence can arise from full awareness of successive changes from one type of pain or object to another. Depending on the yogis, you see all these unpleasant things, dizziness, aches, pains, and so on, and you perceive suffering. But some people, they experience the same thing, but they see changes. One sees another arise, one sees another arise, cessation. So they perceive impermanence. From the same experience, different yogi experience differently. Some experience impermanence, some experience dukkha, suffering. Here, yogi practices meditation to experience calm, peace, and happiness. That is their objective. Everybody who comes and practices here, that's their objective. But however, right now they are experiencing pain, all these unpleasant sensations, unpleasant sights, unpleasant sounds. So, that is the direct proof of uncontrollability of life, anatta. You come for a certain reason, you are experiencing totally different. That is the manifestation of anatta, non-self. Such experiences are indicators that a yogi is practicing the Dharma and is progressing along the line of Dharma, even though one might not think so. A lot of people think this is bad, and even some walk out of meditation. They abandon. That's why one needs a teacher to guide you through every day at your practice in an intensive long-term retreat. All the unpleasant feelings disappear at the higher insight, which is the insight of arising and passing away, udiyapaya jnana. When you got to that stage, all those unpleasant things are gone, as if they have never existed. And at that time, the mind become swift, light, gentle, and proficient. If you experience these kind of feeling, you are in the insight of arising and passing away. When you are in the insight of arising and passing away, you experience these things. A series of sharp and clear mini movements are prominent in rising and falling motions. What it is you are observing your abdomen rise and your abdomen fall. At the beginning, that is a rise and a fall. Clear, sharp, one rise, one fall. But now, that one rise, you actually can see and feel it. There's a series of them. 5, 10, 15, not even able to count. Movement of little rising movement. Rise, pause, rise, pause, rise, pause, rise, stop, and falling the same thing. Those are the indicators that you are in this insight stage. And these experiences you are able to observe without effort. Before you have to really put effort to be with the object. Now you are just like a bystander. You're observing. It is happening. And you know, you see, you feel clearly without effort. According to the Buddha, the pleasant sensation experienced at this stage of insight is better than that of the average dewa. The pleasure of the average dewa is lower than that of these experience at this insight of arising and passing away. And of course you are practicing, and as insight progressed, the arising and passing of objects become so fast, one cannot keep up noting. At the next stage of insight, the arising becomes obscure, and only the passing away is evident, like passing into the darkness or passing away of the shadows. And you see these things as if you are seeing with your own eyes. And at that time, one began to feel like being tortured. Another kind of suffering again. Tortured, suffering, dukkha. At the same time, you're going to do anything about it. You are helpless. Even though you don't like it, you are helpless. That is anatta, uncontrollability, anatta, which is the nature of non-self. So, in the stage of the solution being jnana, one felt being like tortured. That is seeing dukkha. And some yogis see them, everything swiftly, at very fast pace, disappear, and they perceived impermanence. And some, they felt the helplessness, that you can't do anything, you can't control, lack of ability to control. With that manifestation and feeling, one experience anatta. One can see all these three, anicca, dukkha, anatta, in the inside of the solution. But of course, it varies from yogi to yogi. Most of the yogi experience dukkha, suffering. So this is a very, very good insight as a Vipassana practitioner. But it is really full of suffering. That life is suffering. Some yogis with higher paramis will see not only the manners and behaviors passing away, they also see the mind that knows, the mind that is aware of these things, also passing away successively. Both rupa and nama passing away. But these are for very sharp, high parami yogis with great concentration. So, this is a little bit more detailed explanation of how one can experience the insights in a practical way in your practice. Only in human and 5 pure Brahma realms, pure abode, have the opportunity to practice the Buddha Dharma. Deva, they can too, but they are totally being swallowed up with the pleasure. They forgot to practice. Other Brahmas too, they are in a state of bliss. Only the 5 Brahma realms of pure abode and the human has opportunity. Keeping that in mind, let us uproot the 3 evil roots, lobha, dosa, and moha, and develop the 3 good roots, alobha, adosa, amoha, non-greed, non-anger, non-delusion, which is always followed up by letting go, giving, sharing, generosity, love and kindness, and wisdom as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.